everybody, and welcome to Perspectives. I'm Sam Jones, your host, and we'll get to the business at hand in just a moment. First of all, I need to welcome the viewers in Weatherford, Oklahoma. I'm sure you must know by now that all of Weatherford was evacuated yesterday because of an ammonia leak. An accident with a truckload of ammonia was so bad that they had to evacuate the entire town. Well, the folks spent the night in a gymnasium and were allowed to go back to their homes early this morning. And for you folks who are watching from the Weatherford area, thank you so much for your phone calls and your emails. We appreciate the information on that. Congress is back. We might get something done. The jury's out on that. Now, our first guest today is Alison Anthony. Alison is president and CEO of the Tulsa Area United Way, and it's good to have you back.
It's good to be with you again.
I saw you in 2023, I think.
Yes, and a lot's happened since then.
Oh, I mean, especially for you guys.
Been busy.
What's going on with you?
Well, probably what we're most excited about as it relates to much of your audience is that our board and the Rogers County Board, Rogers-Mays County Boards of the United Ways, two separate United Ways, voted to make a change and ask if we would be interested in expanding Tulsa Area United Way into Rogers-Mays, Delaware County, and we said absolutely. Such great communities. And so as of July 15th, we have combined Tulsa Area United Way and expanded to partner with Rogers-Mays and Delaware County as part of our service area footprint.
It would strike me that now you've really got your hands full.
Yes.
Because I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination on the needs, but the needs in this state are vast.
Truly.
And the leadership is weak. Consequently, I think, if I'm reading you correctly, you won't ever get to go home and rest.
Yes, I'm a little tired, Sam. We have been working hard, and you mentioned in your opening the federal shutdown, and not taking sides, but the impact of that federal shutdown certainly did hurt Oklahoma families in many cases. 1 in 6 I know you and I have talked about food security before and feeding families. 1 in 6 Oklahoma families were receiving SNAP benefits. In our 8-county service area alone, that includes Rogers-Mays and Delaware counties, in our 8-county area alone, it was $31 million a month from SNAP that was coming into the food system. So it's approximately about $180 a person that of the people that are receiving SNAP. So that was a huge impact, not only to those families, but the people that ran the grocery stores, their employees, food distribution changed. And so, it has created a lot of need and a lot of extra opportunity for us to live our mission.
I want to talk to you about one of the programs in just a moment, but you just tapped on something that caught my ear. The needs of this state are vast. How do you break them down? How do you assess them?
We have, I know we're going to talk about ALICE data here
Yes.
in a minute, Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. It's a statewide report we've done that looks at income and need and the cost of living and what the bare necessities are in the state. So we look at that data. We're very data driven. We also look at 211 data. So we, as Tulsa Area United Way, we operate 211 of Eastern Oklahoma, which are the 37 counties on the eastern side of the state. An organization called Heartline in Oklahoma City runs the other side, the western side of the state. And we know in Tulsa Area United Way from June of 23rd of 2023, probably when you and I were last together, within 2 years, we'd had over 460,000 times someone had reached out in those 2 years to say, I need help and I don't know where to turn. And the number one needs were housing, rental utility assistance, and food. And then recently, with the SNAP challenges, just in one day alone, we had a 400% increase in calls for food, with folks saying, I don't have my SNAP benefits, or I have been furloughed from my federal job. I don't know where to go to feed my family. And so that's what 211 of Eastern Oklahoma does. And so we are data rich. And in addition to that, we fund 160 nonprofit programs across these 8 counties, and we have all of their information too. So armed with those 3 towers of information, we're able to know a lot about the need in this state.
I'm not trying to drag you into a political discussion, so please don't
You might
think,
be. It's
well,
okay.
I wouldn't do that to you again. However, the mood of the country has shifted. I've, in all my years in being in the television business, I have never seen a shift like this before. I've never lived through it. My grandparents used to talk about it in the Depression era, but I've never seen it. Is the impact falling on the United Way the same as it did back then? Because quite honestly, when I think about the doors you're going to have to knock on, it's astronomical.
It's very astute, what you're saying. And actually, the federal government and our state government have been pretty clear recently to say, you heard the governor say when SNAP benefits went away, he said, this is, it's a federal program. The state can't fill that gap. We look to, he said, our nonprofits and our churches and families, to neighbors to help neighbors. Call 211, And so we are, as a nonprofit and a philanthropic, charitable giving community, churches, we're being asked to step up in new ways. And maybe that's the direction the country is going to go. But in this moment of transition, it has certainly caused a really expanded need from the nonprofits to be able to respond, and just has them really stretched to the limit.
I know a lot of folks thought just because Congress went back, in session, oh, well, it's over, now we can, forget about it. They can't. They can't not pay attention, because it's going to be weeks before the results of whatever Congress decides to do or not do go into effect. And then it's going to take time to get the results of those decisions into place.
Right. And you've heard Senator Langford has very clearly discussed, when we're talking about the safety net and we're talking about people in need, Senator Langford will say, you've got your family as one leg of that stool, you've got churches and nonprofits, and then you've got government. And in many politicians' opinions, folks have relied too much on government. And so in this shift and in this time of change, wow, a lot of people have needs because the government was shut down, and SNAP, which was part of that safety net for food, shut down. And so then people had to turn to charitable giving, churches, other family members, and the nonprofit community. And so United Way was made for moments like this. We have about 800 organizations that help us raise money, companies, employees, and we turned to those organizations and had literally dozens of St. Francis Hospital, for example, had 16 sites, including Rogers County, where they said, you can drop off food. We'll make sure it gets to the basic needs agencies. We fund 11 basic needs agencies. And some of them were telling us that they were working 20 hours a day to keep their shelves stocked, and because dramatic influx of people to need food when they lost their benefits. So United Way turned on a dime. We're in the middle of our fundraising season, but we said the need is today.
Yeah.
We can't not run an area-wide food drive, and we estimate as many as around 90 locations. We're accepting food, and in one day alone, I know Monday this week, we schlepped out, worked on our muscles and moved out 900 pounds of food in one day.
No kidding.
And that came to our building. And it came through drop-offs, but we also gave a virtual link that people could just order off of Amazon and have food shipped right to our building, and then we took it out. So that's what United Way's made for, or not only keeping those organizations strong all year round with our sustained funding, but also in times of crisis to mobilize the community and volunteers to amplify the messages, much like you do, to say, hey, we're in a time of need. And regardless of politics, nobody thinks it's a good idea that kids go to school hungry or come home or go to bed
They
hungry.
can't learn if they go to school hungry. It just will not work.
So we stand in the gap. And that's why we're excited to be in Rogers, Mayes, and Delaware counties now, because we know this community is focused on working together. We had a day of caring. We wanted to start our relationship in this community and launch with service. And so on October 10th, we had a day of caring. We were at about 10 locations, nonprofits that wanted some help. We mobilized about 50 volunteers, like Williams Construction out of Pryor came out and completely remade Creoaks, which is a mental health, behavioral health center. And they did enormous amount of work that nonprofit wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. So in some cases, we're a little bit like the Match.com of the volunteer world, and we can mobilize those volunteers.
We're quickly running out of time, and I've got to ask you this.
Okay.
Because of the tremendous workload that your organization's under, do you guys get many false prophets that come in looking for a handout that don't need it?
We really don't, Sam. We see families working hard every day. And I will tell you that we know nearly 7 out of 10 of the folks that call our 211 hotline for help are working Oklahomans. They are working. And we were talking about the Alice data. We know in Oklahoma, 45% of households are not earning what we consider a survivability wage. So in Rogers County, for example, for a family of 4 with 2 children in daycare, just to meet the bare necessities, it's around $84,000 a year for two daycare, 2 working families. So those are two pretty good salaries, pretty solid salaries, and that's just to really make ends meet. And so many families are just one flat tire away from a real crisis.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, and then many working families are receiving SNAP benefits. In fact, if you're between the ages of 18 or 54 and you're receiving SNAP benefits, you have to be working, but they're not making enough to make ends meet.
I heard one remark, and I was astounded. This election official referred to, it told me they'd never been short of anything, but if you go into the grocery store to buy a piece of lettuce, what? And I'm not going to go past that, but I sometimes think they just live a sheltered life.
Well, we see a lot of dignity and a lot of nobility and a lot of hard work in our Oklahoma families. And, all of us have friends and neighbors who are working hard and still falling short at the end of the month. And, we know that pathways to good jobs and good employment, good education has to start with basic necessities. People have to have a safe and stable place to live. They have to have education. They have to have food, and then they're going to be able to help we all want that for our families.
Yeah.
We all want families that are strong and healthy and can see a pathway to becoming productive, employed taxpayers. And then they'll take care of the elder generation when it comes,
They're going to have to.
Yeah,
they're going to have to.
that's how it
Alison,
works.
thank you for coming by.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity,
I'm
Sam.
so grateful to hear the situation with United Way.
Great work happening, and we're excited to be in this neck of the woods. Rogers State University is a great partner for us.
We'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madeira. Appreciate you more than you know.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break. We'll come back with more right after this.
I'm Michael Wallace, and I'm here to tell you that for the last 20 years, I have not only been a big fan of Perspectives, but I've had the pleasure of appearing on many of their shows. All of my senses are interrupted or visited by these memories, this knowledge that you accumulate over the year when you're collecting the lives of people. And I am so pleased to be able to wish Perspectives a happy birthday. 20 years we've been enjoying the programming on Perspectives. And we've been enjoying my pal and good friend Sam Jones, the incomparable Sam Jones. He and the whole team out at Rogers State have given us a huge gift. And I'm so glad that we've reached 20 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 20.
And finally today, Matt Trotter, who is the Communications Director for the Kansas and Oklahoma region of the American Red Cross, is our final guest. Good to have you with us, lad.
Thank you for having me.
You don't look any worse the wear, although I suppose you're walking in your sleep, aren't you?
From time to time.
Talk to me about, if you would, service to the armed forces.
Service to the Armed Forces is a program of the American Red Cross that people don't hear much about. They know about us when it comes to disaster relief, especially here in Oklahoma with tornadoes. They know about us when it comes to collecting blood, because we constantly ask people to donate blood and help patients in hospitals across the country. But since the beginning, the American Red Cross has been there for military members and their families. This is something that we've done for over 140 years now.
People just don't realize it.
Mm-hmm. Every day we have staff and volunteers that are working with not just active duty military, but veterans and family members to make sure that they have the support that they need to deal with the unique challenges they face as they serve our country.
Well, I tell you, they face them too. You've got both a food and hygiene drive that's going on as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the food and hygiene drive is something that our local Service to the Armed Forces staff came up with after talking to military commanders and partners throughout the region. We understood that military members and their families were looking at a lot of uncertainty, missed paychecks, things like that. And the food and hygiene drive was something they came up with as a real tangible way to help alleviate some of the concerns that military families had as they might be missing a paycheck, wondering where that next meal was coming from. And so working with military partners and communities throughout Kansas and Oklahoma, we were able to collect hundreds of items, sort them, distribute them, and get them in the hands of people who needed them most when they needed them.
Is there a false sense of, well, it's all over now that Congress is back in session?
You know, that's hard to say. From our perspective, we're in touch with military commanders and partners all the time, understanding what their needs are, what their concerns are, what they're looking at on the horizon. And that's really how we got this drive going, is talking with them, seeing that they knew these concerns were going to be real, and getting something into action. We talk to them, like I said, constantly. So if they see another situation like this coming, we'll be able to work with them and understand how to meet their needs again.
Do you have, let me press you a little bit on that. Do you have some sort of organized, I don't know, program that's kicks in automatically if there is a need?
So the food and hygiene drive was sort of a special case where we knew people might not get paychecks. They may need these items specifically. As far as a program that's in place to do something like this automatically, no. But it is something that we do in the regular course of our work supporting members of the military.
I know for a fact that you're not the kind of organization to rest on your laurels. You're constantly scanning the horizon. What are you looking for? What are you watching?
Well, it depends on what's going on in different parts of our mission. So we have disaster services where we're responding to an uptick in climate disasters like tornadoes and floods and wildfires. We look to see what it looks like for blood collection because somebody in the U.S. needs blood every 2 seconds. We have to keep that supply level throughout the U.S. We try to convince people to be ready for disasters by learning life-saving skills like CPR or first aid. Mm-hmm. And we're also trying to support all of this through a workforce that's 90% volunteer. So we're constantly trying to recruit and train and engage new volunteers to help support what we do everywhere we do it. Because we don't want to just have a big volunteer workforce in the Tulsa area. We need people who can respond to a home fire out in Weatherford or open up a shelter out in Weatherford should there be a gas leak from an ammonia truck and a shelter needs to be opened.
I suppose it's kind of a relief to you that we've had a semi-quiet hurricane season, isn't it?
It's a bit of a relief. It certainly helps because, say, a hurricane happens in Florida, Red Cross volunteers from Oklahoma are going to be part of that contingent that goes to make sure that people have shelter and food and that their immediate needs are taken care of. And that means that those volunteers aren't here responding to home fires and things like that, doing the day in, day out work that we have to do.
Specialists involved?
Specialists as far as disaster response?
Well, in other words, when you go into an area that needs the Red Cross touch, if you will, you have doctors that travel with you?
Sometimes we do. We have a wide range of volunteer positions for everything that we do. In disaster response, we do have health professionals that become Red Cross volunteers and might step into disaster health services, help people who have health concerns after a disaster. We also have people who learn how to run a shelter, and they're the ones that help care for people who don't have a home to stay in. We have people who train in logistics, so they understand the workflow of getting supplies in and distributing them and where they need to go. There's a whole set of different things that people can do as Red Cross volunteers.
Well, while we're on that, and before we let you slip out of here, because time is just going by so quickly, if someone wants to become a Red Cross volunteer, what do they need to do?
The easiest thing for them to do is to go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS, and they can find out more about our volunteer opportunities there, and they can apply online as well. I really do want to plug our Service to the Armed Forces opportunities, since we just had the military food and hygiene drive. There's such a variety of things that people can do if they want to help veterans or military families, from working in VA clinics to making sure that families on base are taught preparedness skills. Maybe a family's new to Oklahoma, military family just moved here, they don't know about tornado safety. We have people that go on base and help teach them those skills.
So you're not without folks who are in a position to educate as needed.
Right.
Well, listen, Matt, I want to thank you for taking time to come visit with us, bring us up to speed on some of these things, and God forbid your services are needed more than you have volunteers for. I hope the cup runneth over.
I appreciate that. We hope for that too.
We'll talk to you again.
Thank you.
We're all out of time. Thank you for being a part of it. We'll see you back here next time.